Everyone is obsessed with AI. Trillions of dollars in market value, headlines every single day, the whole world convinced it's the future. Governments are rewriting their budgets around it, and the biggest companies on earth are betting everything they've on it. But almost nobody can actually answer one simple question. Who's really making money? Not who's raising billions from investors. Not whose stock happened to jump this week. Who's actually pocketing real profit right now, today? It's a surprisingly hard question, and the answer is almost never the company you'd expect. Because once you see it clearly, this entire AI boom suddenly makes a lot more sense. And it starts to look a lot like every gold rush that came before it. Here's the trick that almost everyone misses. AI isn't one single business, it's a stack. 4 layers stacked right on top of each other. The chips at the very bottom, the cloud built on those chips, the AI models running inside the cloud, and the apps you actually use sitting up on top. The money isn't shared evenly across those 4 layers. Not even close. So let's follow it all the way from the top down. Start at the very top of the stack. The apps. This is where thousands of AI startups live. The writing tools, the chatbots, the meeting summarizers, the coding helpers, the little assistants bolted onto everything you already use. To most people, this feels like where all the action is, and where all the money must be. It's also, quietly, the most dangerous place to be standing, because most of these apps have the exact same quiet problem. They're built on top of somebody else's model, so they pay a fee for every single request a user makes. Their costs go up as they get more popular, which is the complete opposite of how a good business is supposed to work. The more they win, the more they owe. And on top of that, a competitor, or even the model company itself, can copy their whole idea in a single weekend. So a lot of these startups aren't really companies at all. They're features, waiting to be absorbed by something bigger. A rare few will grow into giants, but most of them get quietly squeezed from both sides by rising costs below them and copycats right beside them. So go down a layer to the models. OpenAI, Anthropic, Google's DeepMind. This is the layer everyone actually argues about. This is where the hype and the headlines and the billion-dollar valuations all live. It's also, quietly, the single place in this entire stack where the money burns the very hottest. Because training just one top model costs hundreds of millions of dollars, sometimes billions, and it's basically obsolete within a year, the moment a newer, smarter one arrives. Worse, even after it's built and paid for, actually running it can lose money on every single question you type into it. That's because the computing power it takes to answer you costs real hard cash every time. So here's the strange part. The more people love your product and use it, the more money you can actually bleed. Their revenue is climbing at a speed almost no business in history has ever matched. The only problem is that their costs are climbing just as fast and sometimes even faster. So how do these labs even try to make money back? 3 main ways. They sell you a subscription, like the $20 a month for the fancy chatbot. They sell access to businesses that want to build on top of their models. And they cut giant headline-grabbing deals with the biggest corporations in the world. Put together, it adds up fast. It adds up to billions of dollars in revenue. But here's the genuinely brutal part. Even at billions in revenue, most of these labs still lose money overall. Because they immediately spend even more than they make, racing to train the next model before their rivals do. In plain terms, they're buying the future on credit and betting the whole company that it pays off. Now drop down one more layer, to the cloud. Microsoft, Amazon, Google. These companies are the landlords of the entire AI economy. They own the massive, humming data centers, and they rent that computing power out to everyone sitting above them. Every hot startup, every famous model company has to pay rent right here, to them first. And they pay that rent month after month, whether their own product ends up succeeding or failing. Here's the key difference. Unlike the models above them, the cloud giants are already wildly, reliably profitable. Amazon's cloud business alone earns tens of billions of dollars in profit a year, and it was quietly doing that for years, long before the AI boom ever started. Now put the profit margins for each layer side by side, and the picture gets stark. The apps are thin, the models actually lose money at scale, the cloud is fat and healthy. And the chips, mostly one single company, Nvidia, keep the richest margin of them all. That's how Nvidia briefly became the most valuable company on the entire planet. Not by winning the AI race, but simply by selling everyone else the shovels. And there's one more winner in this story, one that almost nobody thinks about. Power. Literal electricity. These data centers, packed wall to wall with hungry chips, drink an unbelievable amount of it. A single large AI data center can burn through as much electricity as an entire small city all day and all night without ever stopping. And companies are racing to build dozens more of them as fast as they possibly can. So the utilities, the companies that actually generate and sell that electricity, are quietly turning into AI winners too. Some are even reopening old, shut-down power plants just to keep up with the demand. The picks and shovels here are made of pure energy, which means your monthly power bill and the AI boom are now quietly connected, whether you happen to like it or not. So when people casually say that AI runs on data, that's really only half of the truth. It also runs on a vast, expensive ocean of electricity, and somebody, somewhere down the line, always has to pay for it. So step back and ask the real question. Who actually makes money? Line them all up. The apps, thin and shaky, the models, mostly burning cash, the cloud, reliably profitable, and the chips, absolutely swimming in it. The pattern is brutal, and it's simple. The closer you sit to the raw hardware and the power, the more reliably you get paid. The famous names up at the top are betting everything on the future. The quiet names down at the bottom simply get paid today, no matter which flashy app or model actually ends up winning the race. And if that pattern sounds strangely familiar to you, it absolutely should. Because it's quite literally the oldest pattern in all of business. In a gold rush, most of the miners go broke chasing the dream. The people who reliably get rich are the ones quietly selling the shovels, the picks, and the sturdy jeans. AI has its miners too, the hopeful app builders, and the frontier labs chasing glory. And it has its shovel sellers, the chip makers, the cloud landlords, and the power companies collecting rent from all of them. And this really isn't just a clever theory. It has already happened almost exactly once before. In the Great California Gold Rush of 1849, a sharp man named Samuel Brannan didn't dig for a single ounce of gold himself. Instead, he quietly bought up every single shovel and pan and pickaxe he could get his hands on. Then he turned around and sold them, at a steep markup, to the desperate miners rushing in. He became one of the richest men in all of California without ever striking gold. Meanwhile, most of the miners he sold to went home with absolutely nothing, and the blue jeans company you've definitely heard of, Levi's, was born the very same way. The dreamers dug, the suppliers got rich, and this is exactly why so many smart people quietly worry that AI might be a bubble. Just look at the spending. Hundreds of billions of dollars are pouring into AI infrastructure every single year, but the actual revenue is running far, far behind it, leaving a gap of roughly $600 billion a year. The entire bet is that revenue eventually races up and catches that spending. If it doesn't, a whole lot of that money simply vanishes. So here's the takeaway you can actually use, starting today. The next time someone confidently tells you that a company is a big AI winner, don't just ask whether their AI is smart or impressive. Ask a sharper question. Ask which layer of the stack they're actually standing on. Are they up at the very top, digging for gold and burning through cash, praying they strike it big? Or are they down closer to the bottom, quietly selling the shovels, the land, and the raw power that absolutely everyone else is forced to buy? Because in this boom, exactly like in every single gold rush that came before it, the smartest money in the room usually isn't the one loudly chasing the shiny dream. It's the quiet money, calmly selling the tools to everyone who's chasing it. So understand the stack, and the whole AI story suddenly stops being confusing magic. It turns into something much older and much more predictable. A business, like all the ones before it. Follow along, and we'll keep breaking down the real money hiding behind all the hype.